Yeah. Uh. Yeah.
Welcome in, everybody. It is Tuesday evening, which means one thing and one thing only here on the Going for Two Live Network. It is time for another edition of the Fantasy Cheat Sheet presented by Going for Two Live. Go on YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, all of it. Go Going for Two Live and Facebook. Go hit the like, hit the subscribe, hit the notification. Let's get this party started. We are talking wide receivers tonight, but we got to get our cast and crew in here. First off, our man down from the south, Jordan. What is up, my man?
Nothing too much, man. Ready to talk receivers tonight with you guys.
Oh yeah, for sure. This was Jordan's first. Jordan was the one that wanted to get in and talk about receivers right off the bat after we talked last time. And we can't forget the man from the Midwest, the buddy of the elf, the Cleveland Browns elf, Jamie. What is up, my man?
Oh, not much, man. But last time, I ended up getting my Scott Fishbowl invite, so I am officially in, and I picked my division and my spot. So I'm excited to get ready for that.
Yeah, this guy picks the exact same spot as me, doesn't realize it, and then gets into the mock draft about 15 seconds before me to write off his first one. Hey, Eric, long time no see, and yes, the beard is looking dandy. I will be honest, the wife is not happy with it anymore. She says it's a little too long, but I'm going to milk it as long as I can because I know I have to cut it for my brother's wedding in October. So I know my mom is not going to let me go to the wedding looking like this. I already know that. She's not going to, I'm not going to be in a wedding looking like this. All right. So let's get right into it. First off, there's one piece of news I want to bring up. Not a lot of news going on. Why? Because it's freaking June and it's the NFL. But Josh Jacobs comes out today that he could hold out into the season. Middle of July is the deadline to sign your long-term extension. If you were franchised, you can still sign your franchise tag, but not a long-term extension after mid-July. What do you guys think about Josh Jacobs? Would he hold out? Do you think this is smoke? Do you think this is nothing? What do you guys think? And then I'll give my at the very end.
I think it could be something, but I mean, guys kind of threaten these type of things. Any really good running back kind of, hints that that's a possibility. But at the end of the day, the guy needs to get paid. So I think he'll end up showing up eventually. This is just not problem after problem, but feels like the Raiders have a lot of uncertainty on offense going into the season with quarterback and now Josh Jacobs hinting at something, man. It just kind of leads into somebody else I want to talk about later, but I'll let you go.
Hold on. Before Jamie goes, Jordan, did you say uncertainty on offense? Do you mean uncertainty in Las Vegas in a general sense? I mean, this ain't just the offense isn't the only thing with the problem. They got a owner who can't figure out if he wants a bald head or a freaking bowl cut. They got a quarterback who might not be able to even put on a boot. This isn't just that.
Yeah, right.
Jamie, what is up? What do you think, buddy? And what's up, Toronto, Dave?
What's up, Dave? But anyway, he probably just wants to make a statement because he is a top 10 running back in the league. He should get money, but people just don't like to pay running backs anymore.
Yeah, the running back situation, that's a whole nother ball game, like the running back talk in general. Because you're right, they don't get paid like they should or like they used to. Should they? That's a whole nother debate. Jamie, do you think that this is a situation that if it gets bad by July, middle of July when this happens, could they bring in a vet before camp starts because of the vets that are available? Or is this one that you wait Josh Jacobs out and just have Zamir White until?
I mean, it wouldn't hurt to bring one in anyway, just to play behind Jacobs. Like bring in a Kareem Hunt.
Which one do you think?
I'd like to see probably Kareem Hunt go there. Because if Jacobs doesn't sign, I think Hunt could be more every down back than Fournette right now.
What do you think, Jordan?
About I agree. If they decide to bring somebody in, it could Kareem Hunt would probably be one of the better guys to do it to do it. But the Raiders, I mean, I don't believe they have a chance to compete. So I wouldn't even know why they would want to bring another guy, older guy in when they can just see what they have the younger running backs just to. I mean, you're not going to win anyway, even if Josh Jacobs plays. So it's like, why not just see what you have in the young guy, give them a full opportunity?
Yeah. Okay, so usually, you guys both know this. Usually, I would say this is too early in the year. It's not a big deal. Who gives a crap? I think this is something. I think they do need to eventually think about getting a veteran. I don't think it's going to be Kareem Hunt, Jamie. Even though you know how I feel about Kareem Hunt. I do think he's going to get signed eventually. He is, I think, hurting himself more than some of the other guys. I think they actually need to get someone with more bruiser than Kareem Hunt.
Not Z.
I'm thinking Leonard Fournette, maybe. I know he had the car thing today, but I think it could be Leonard Fournette. I, why not Zeke Jordan? I
I,
mean, is it? Do you think he doesn't fit them, or do you think besides going back to Dallas, Zeke is not really a fit anywhere?
so I'm just wondering if Zeke still has it or whatever it is. Like I know he had a lot of carries early, and I mean he's getting up there in age. A lot of beatings that he's taken. Like it's his rookie year, like first couple of years, man. Zeke was getting all the work, and so maybe that just wore him down. He's had knee injuries the last couple of years, the problems with his knees. I don't see that. I mean, I guess taking some work off of him could kind of spare him for a little longer, but he's getting up there in age. I'm not sure how much he has left after the productivity he had at the beginning of his career.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plus, the offensive line there is just horrible.
Yeah,
So that would hurt him even more.
Like we said, I mean, this team in general is just god awful. I mean, I've even heard people think that if things go right, I mean, go wrong, even worse than they are, that this team could be in the hunt for a top 3 pick in the NFL draft. And I don't know if I would go that far yet.
I would.
I know Jordan does. I know how Jordan feels.
Yeah,
I wouldn't go that far yet because there's some teams that I think if they're not in the middle of a certain division, they're going to be very bottom of the division, depending on how things go. I mean, we all know, how we feel about Arizona and a couple teams that are just god awful. But that could happen with Vegas. Jacobs himself, yes, he's trying to get the bag. I don't think he's going to get the bag he wants. I do think he'll show up. Do I think he'll try to miss most of training camp? Yes. Could he start off slow? Yes. Could he still end up being a top 10 back? Yeah. This does okay, Jamie. I mean, we're talking overall, but more specifically, what's going on in 2 weeks, Jamie. I've seen Josh Jacobs. I've gotten Josh Jacobs in mock drafts in the 3rd round. Would you still be willing to take Josh Jacobs in the 3rd round in Scott Fishbowl?
Probably not, man. I might even wait around for Chubb. Like
Yeah.
he'd be one of my targets.
Exactly. I think this is a spot where I would wait a little bit longer. If he was to fall back to me in 4, I would definitely reconsider hitting it, but not at the 3 spot. All right, so that is really the only news. We're going to get into the, as I like to say, the meat and potatoes of the episode. It is wide receivers edition. This was Jordan's idea. We're going to go through all of them eventually, but today is just wide receivers. On the cover, we had Amari Cooper, we had Christian Watson, and we had Terry McLaurin. So at some point, I'm not going to give it all away. At some point, yes, everyone, those 3 will be discussed. But the first topic is Jordan's, and I'm just going to hand it over. Jordan, take it away.
So Jamie is going to talk about some other guys that kind of fit into what I wanted to talk about. But I have a couple of guys, just some of my favorite values so far based on Fantasy Pros ADP. I know we're still early in the process, but as of now, obviously things can change. People can get signed and things like that. But just looking at it, some guys that I like where they are. DJ Moore right now, he's at wide receiver 27, like behind guys like Mike Williams and stuff like that. I mean, the number one target for Justin Fields. They've been developing chemistry this off season. I'm liking the way that the direction the Bears offense is going in. DJ Moore, the top weapon. Fields continuing to develop. I can just see this guy beating that ADP. He easily has the talent to finish in the top 15. I know his target volume won't be high because I don't see the Bears throwing it all over the place. However, he's shown the last couple of years that he can do it in a multitude of ways. He can do it with a high volume, low A dot way. He did that a couple of years ago. He could also do it being the guy that catches the deep passes as well. So he's one of the more talented receivers in the league. Fields is the best quarterback he's had up to this point, and I like him easily beating that wide receiver 27 ADP right now. Now it could change a little when preseason starts and things like that, but as of now, DJ Moore wide receiver 27, I like that. One other guy I have is JuJu, Mike, your ex-chief. JuJu at wide receiver 52. JuJu isn't the guy that we thought he would be after his rookie season, after early in his career playing with Antonio Brown in Pittsburgh. He isn't that guy. But being the number one weapon as of now in New England, pending a D-Hop signing or anything like that, he's taken over for Jacoby Myers. I believe JuJu is more talented than Jacoby Myers. Jacoby Myers last year finished as the wide receiver 29, 804 yards, 6 touchdowns. I think on 96 targets, JuJu can do that, if not better. And so, you taking a guy, wide receiver 52, he could finish in the top 30, maybe cracking that top 24 at the back end of the top 24. I mean, that's good value right now.
Jamie,
Yeah, I like both.
I know you have a lot to say, Jamie. So I am literally just going to give you the floor. And 1, 2, 3, talk.
All right, so DJ Moore going that late is criminal. He's going to be the number one pass catcher. Yeah, even if it is a low volume offense, he's still going to get his. He can do it. He's got the efficiency, the connection with them. I've been finding myself drafting him almost every single draft just because he's there that late. And I'd feel comfortable with him even as my number 2 receiver, depending on how I do my builds. And then the other guy, JuJu, man, he's going outside the top 100 overall, I believe, which is insane because if you look at all the pass catchers on that team, and he's pretty much the first one being drafted.
Yeah.
And I think he should go at least 2-3 rounds earlier than he is. So he's going to definitely outproduce his ADP. I'm finding myself drafting him a lot recently. But yeah, that's pretty much it, man. I think JuJu's going to be great, and DJ Moore.
Yeah, so JuJu, I'm not afraid of the talent. Jamie, you already know what I'm afraid of with JuJu. And it ain't the talent, right?
Yeah, it's the quarterback, right?
It's mac and cheese. And it's not even just mac and cheese. It's the just the offense. I think they're going to lean on the running game a lot. They're going to lean on – I think they're going to have to lean on another position in the passing game a lot. We've already discussed it. We will be discussing it probably a little bit later in the summer too. I will give one name, and that is Gesicki. That is a hint on what I think they're going to do a lot in the offense. It's not a coincidence that they brought Gesicki in to pair him up with Hunter Henry. But DJ Moore. DJ freaking Moore. Why? Because DJ Moore is being so undervalued. I hate these people that are saying, oh, he doesn't have a quarterback that can throw. He does. Did he have one in Carolina? Freaking Baker Mayfield? You call that being able to throw? I mean, Come on. He had Sam Darnold. And I was a Sam Darnold guy. But I have to admit, Justin Fields, Sam Darnold. Okay. That is, for sure. Another one I want to bring up, and I'll just bring this up. I know we didn't talk, you didn't bring him up, but another one that I like at his ADP, and I'm being a little more specific in this one, Jordan. For Scott Fishbowl, I've been, doing a lot, too many probably. My wife has been telling me I've been on the phone a lot lately, and I'm just doing mocks. I'm not doing anything fishy. But, and it is Carolina. It is DJ Moore's old city. I think people are sleeping on Adam Thielen. I've gotten him in Scott Fishbowl mocks, Jamie, as late as round 15. And I would take him in between like 13 and 15 and 14 every day of the week as a depth piece in any redraft league I can get him in. I don't care if it's Scott Fish. And I mean, having full PPR, having the first downs, I think he's gonna get a rapport with Bryce Young because he is a vet. Yes, you're gonna have Mingo out there. Yes, you're gonna have Terrace Marshall and guys like that. But when the rubber hits the road and you need to get a first down, are you going to throw it 3-4, a little 3-4 yard hook to a veteran that you can trust to catch the ball? I know I am. So Adam Thielen is another guy that I would take in a minute where he's going ADP was. Anything else we want to bring up on this topic before we throw it over?
Just Adam Thielen, man. I mean, that late, I don't mind it, but I just don't think. I think he's going to take a step back. He's too touchdown dependent. He's with the.
He is going to take a step back. I'm just talking on pure ADP right now. I think that's a spot that I would snag.
Yeah, I honestly prefer DJ Chark over Thielen.
Okay. I mean, I've seen Chark go as late as like 18.
Yeah. Yep.
And I'm like, how is Chark falling to 18? I mean, most regular redraft leagues end at 18 or 19, and Chark is going at 18 or 19, and Scott Fish. I mean, maybe people don't know if he's going to get the first downs or he's going to be not PPR reliant. But Jamie, I know you want to talk a little more about ADP, right? Or
just some little late round best ball guys that's gonna put some points up on your teams here and there. First one is going pretty late in the 12th round. There's Michael Gallup. I know they just got Cooks there, but I think Gallup will have some good weeks. Another guy was Darnell Mooney. I know we talked about the DJ Moore, and last year people were overdrafting Mooney. This year, I think they're underdrafting him in the 12th. He's more of a beta receiver as is. So he was forced to be put into that alpha role last year. He was getting the double coverages. This year, he's not going to see that. So I think he'll be a good late round guy that could put up some points here and there. One of my favorites is I know Jeff doesn't like this one, but my boy Paris Campbell. But right now he is starting to rise up with all that buzz he's getting. But I was getting him in like the 16th, 17th rounds in almost all my drafts. Now I got to get him a little bit higher, but someone's going to have to put up points in that offense. And with it being best ball, I don't mind taking a late round shot on him. A few other honorable mentions, but you're like very last picks, Van Jefferson, Tim Patrick. Those guys are just being overlooked. Like Van Jefferson, he's going to be the number 2 receiver, probably the number 3 target after Higbee. But besides that, I mean, who else is there? Tutu Atwell. Not really many people that are going to get targets. I know it's going to be cup all the time. Oh, yeah. But I mean, he's a rookie. And
I know. I love saying his name.
And then with Tim Patrick coming back from injury in that new offense, I just think he could have some big weeks. And then with it being best ball, you don't have to choose which week to play him. He's just automatically going to be put in there. So those are a couple guys. What about you guys? Are you going after like Gallup, Mooney, Campbell?
I like the Mooney call. Mooney and Paris Campbell, man. I like those two guys. Obviously, Mooney can take the top off. He can have a lot of big plays. Obviously, you need one or two plays to kind of make the week, and I feel like he has that explosiveness to do it. I'm not sure about Michael Gallup, but I mean, late in the draft, you could always take a chance on that. But yeah, and Paris Campbell with the buzz he's getting, like you mentioned, somebody has to do something in that offense. He's been healthy so far. He's been explosive. So I mean, why not take a chance on him?
Yeah, the only thing that worries me about that is I heard they're playing him at running back.
He was
Yeah,
lining,
If he can't stay
lining up.
healthy,
Yeah, he
if he
was
can't
lining
stay-
up a little bit.
if he can't stay healthy as a receiver, how the heck is he going to be healthy as a running back?
Well, I just think they
Well, it's
were
more
trying
probably
to
for
run
gadget
formation.
plays.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
They're using him
yeah.
like McCall Hardman. Oh, okay. So I'm gonna go. Before we get into my comment on your take, we're gonna go start from the beginning here. So our boy Saint Pat says, "Drop the mic and father my children." If you want me to, I guess, but I don't know how that. I mean, okay. I know me and you are homies, but okay. Then he says Jamie Peralta is as great as a pink starburst.
Those are the best starters.
Those are the
And then
best.
they are good. But then Jordan is the random fry in an order of onion rings, one of a kind. If you go to Burger King, I'll tell you what. If you go to Burger King where I'm at, it's the opposite. There's always one goddamn random onion ring in a freaking fries, and I love it. I will say I love it when that happens because guess what? I get onion rings. Okay, so for my guys, one guy in best ball, because for people that don't understand, just in best ball, you don't have to set your lineup ever. So one guy that is being looked down at, he is a 3 on his team because they just drafted a rookie. But I do think he's still going to be able to have 1, 2, or 3. He's still having a couple weeks that are going to put him in your lineup. And Jamie, you know, if you're playing big tournaments, whatever, you need those weeks that a guy can just put some points up, right? I still am not giving out hope on KJ Osborne. Okay. I'm not saying he's going to go out and be the stud dude or anything like that. But, you know, it's just the way it is. Pat, have an absolute great show. I'm off to bed to go for two myself. Hey, Pat, go for it. Hit me up later. Go for two, baby. You know why? Because no one likes the extra point. Yes, Toronto Dave. I know. Glenda's going to be mad at me for saying that, Dave. I know. Don't rat me out. Harvey's is a fast food place here that does half fries, half onion rings if you want. Well, you're in Toronto. Yes, you guys are going to have better stuff. You have poutine. Okay, so to get into my first topic, I am going to preface by saying the reason this topic got brought up in my head is because of a mock draft. So Jeff Lambert, owner of GF2, owner of what we're broadcasting on, is doing a bunch of Scott Fishbowl drafts. But he is also starting to do some mock drafts for just dynasty startups. Me and Jamie are both in one, and literally 6, 7, 8 is, or no, 7, 8, 9, right, Jamie? Or is it 6, 7, 8? 6, 7, 8. 6, 7, 8 is me, Jamie, and Jeff, back to back to back. So Jamie's put it in the chat a couple times. I hope Mike doesn't matter. I hope Jeff isn't going to snipe me. Well, Jamie, I will say you did snipe me with that Jacksonville Jaguars tight end pick.
Oh, good. That's the only reason I picked them.
Okay, so you did snipe me. But, so wide receivers, there are 4 wide receivers that I want to bring up because I have seen them go in different spots in different mocks, all right around each other. They're all young. They're all studs. That's in no particular order yet. ARSB, Chris Olave, Jalen Waddle, and yes, Garrett Wilson. Okay. Everyone knows that I love Jalen Waddle. Okay. In this mock that we're in, I did get Jalen Waddle in my second round pick. Jamie was right in front of me. And Jamie took who, Jamie?
Garrett Wilson.
Okay. So Garrett Wilson gets taken. Then I take Waddle, and directly after me goes ARSB. So when I saw these three get picked all bunched up, and Olave was the next guy or close to it, especially the next young guy, I believe that all four of these guys, more the three, but I've seen Olave pick before a couple of them in drafts. I saw an SFB mock that Olave, it went Garrett, then Olave, and then Waddle, and then ARSB. So you can throw it. I'm throwing it both ways. For redraft, I still want Waddle number 1 in redraft out of the 4. Then I want Garrett I'm having a hard time right now. I mean, even thinking about it, I'm like switching back and forth.
I'd be happy with any of them, honestly.
Yeah.
Oh, no. And I would, yeah. But if you're sitting there and you have the pick of all three, I'd probably go Garrett, then ARSB, and then Olave. In Dynasty, I am personally going, this is going to surprise you, Jamie, because I love my Dolphin boy. I'm going Garrett, then I'm going Waddle, then I'm going Olave, and then I'm going ARSB. Okay, the reason I'm going Olave is I don't know who's going to be his quarterback in 2 or 3 years. I don't know that, obviously, because it could be Carr, it could be a draft pick, it could be Jameis Winston, who knows? I just like Olave's talent a little more than ARSB. And right now, ARSB, even though he's gambling somewhere in freaking the Bahamas so he doesn't get caught again, he still has Jameson Williams to worry a little bit about. But I do think that even if Goff isn't the quarterback, isn't going to be Hooker, we don't know for sure. It could be Hooker. It could end up being someone else. It could be Goff for 2 or 3 more years. I just feel a little more safe in my heart picking Olave over ARSB. I'm going to throw it to Jordan first because of the redraft, but then I know you're going to throw the dynasty into it, Jamie, and that's what I want at the end. So Jordan, am I crazy? What do you think?
So I don't think you're crazy because they're all so close and so talented. But if I'm going for a redraft this year, man, I feel like I got to go with ARSB first over those guys. And I would probably go Waddle second, Wilson third, and then Olave fourth. But I've just ARSB, him and Golf have been on one page for the last couple of years. I mean, I would definitely take him over those other guys. I mean, Wilson and Rodgers. I mean, obviously Wilson balled out with the less than ideal quarterbacks he had last year. And and getting Rodgers this year, I still think in game action, it'll take some time for them to kind of get on one page. And Rodgers has other weapons he could also go to. I know, particularly for the first 6 games, Jameson Williams won't be there, so ARSB will really eat, and then it might taper off a little bit as the season goes on. But Wilson will have competition for targets. They have a quarterback that he has to kind of get to know in games. Well, in game situations, easy to kind of connect in practice and stuff like that. So we'll have to see it kind of build throughout time. Waddle was explosive with Tua. Tua just has to stay healthy, and I think he'll be. And Waddle and Tua will be fine if that happens. And then, like I said, Olave a distant fourth for me compared to those guys. Dynasty purposes, I think I would have Waddle number 1, I think, in Dynasty, and Wilson too, just because Rodgers could decide to retire next year after this season. And then where does that put the Jets? So I would go a while because I think his quarterback situation is way more certain. I'd have ARSB third in that, and then Olave fourth.
All right. So before you go, Jamie, I just looked up Underdog's ADP currently, and they are a lot closer than I even thought. Garrett Wilson is 8, and this is just WR. Garrett Wilson is WR 8. Somebody that I will not say the name, but Jordan can't stand is 9.
No,
He might be brought up later.
no, I can stand him.
I know, but you'll bring it up later.
Yeah.
But 10, 11, 12, all in a row. Like literally, bam, 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 thank you, ma'am. ARSB at 10, Waddle at 11, and Olave at 12. Just to bring that up for context. Jamie, spit the rhymes, baby.
Yeah, the reason I'm taking Garrett Wilson number 1 overall, and like last year he was top 10 in targets. He was top 10 in red zone targets, top 10 in air yards, and now he's going to have Aaron Rodgers throwing him the ball. And there's not too many people on that team that I'm afraid of to take targets away from Garrett Wilson. But yeah, and after him, I would. It's hard. It's hard, man. It's a toss-up. I would probably go Waddle to second. I kind of want Olave over AR, but I don't know if I could do that. So I'd probably take AR next and then Olave. But for dynasty purposes, I would definitely put Wilson in a tier of its own. After that, like Waddle and St. Brown, they're close. I think I have them number 6 and 7 back to back. I keep flip-flopping them, so I couldn't tell you right now who I got first. Probably Waddle over them.
So Kyle goes Wilson, then Amon-Ra, then Waddle, and then Olave. And then Gerson was Garrett Wilson, Olave, ARSB, and then 4th Waddle. Gerson
I
says,
like Gerson's.
Yeah, Gerson's point, I know. I love Waddle, and this is the thing that scares me, but my issue with Waddle is Tua's health. And, I mean, that's the crazy part about it. Like Kyle says right here, I'd rather risk it with Tua than be tied to Carr. That's the one. I was worried about Tua. Oh, don't get me wrong. I'm still worried about Tua. But I'm less worried about Tua than I was, say, around draft time for some reason. And then, of course, Gerson's got to, pipe back in. And, yeah, well, Carr stays healthy. LOL. You going to trust Mike White as a backup? Gerson, did you trust Derek Carr to win you games as a Raider fan? That's a question I got for you. You know I'm just joking, buddy. And Gerson also says, I think Garrett Wilson could surpass CD Lamb for the 3rd WR in full rankings.
Yeah, definitely possible.
That's a possibility 100%.
But the problem is we got Harrison Jr. coming in, so I think in Dynasty I'm going to put him probably above Wilson next year.
Yeah. Okay, so speaking of Gerson's favorite team, Jordan, there's a wide receiver in the AFC West that you are not liking I'm not saying you don't like him. You are not liking him where he is being drafted. Am I correct?
Yeah. So I think I talked about this guy before recently. This is my last time talking about him for a while. I love him as a player, super talented, one of the best receivers in the league, hands down. However, just going into the season, we kind of talked about the uncertainty surrounding Vegas overall. I'm just kind of down on Devontae Adams. It's just being like the top guy, like everybody has assumed he'll continue to be. Looking at Fantasy Pros right now rankings, he's ranked 7th right now, ahead of AJ Brown, ARSB, and Garrett Wilson. I'd rather have all 3 of those guys over him. Not only is he losing his best bud in Derek Carr, who peppered him with a large portion of those 180 targets he received last year, but just he's getting another quarterback who's not as good in Jimmy Garoppolo, and somebody who might not even be healthy enough to play starting the season. And if we were worried about Tua getting hurt, this guy, Jimmy Garoppolo, is hurt almost every year. I mean, he didn't throw a lot in San Francisco, so maybe things could be a little different. If Josh Jacobs holds out, and stays out, I mean, who knows how much Las Vegas will throw, but I just don't see Adams being able to kind of match the 14 touchdowns that he had. I don't think he'll get the 180 targets. There isn't much competition for it, but being drafted at the 7th receiver, I think you got to have some certainty in the offense. I know the talent kind of overrules a lot of it, but I'm still just kind of nervous taking him over guys who I know have better quarterbacks in more stable situations right now.
Yeah, I 100% agree on that, man. Like I haven't drafted him at his ADP and over 100 drafts, 0 shares. It's just way too high. Like you said, like I'd rather have the Waddles, the Olaves. Like we don't know what's going on with that quarterback situation either.
Yeah, and I was skeptical of him going into this past season. Obviously, he proved me wrong, so it's possible. And he showed signs with Stidham. Even he balled with him, so I mean, he's so talented that he can produce, but it's just not something I want to count on, man. Because there's only a certain amount of times you can get away with shining with the less than ideal quarterback.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I'd feel more comfortable if he was going around like 12, 13.
Yeah,
but not
so
7.
This is how I'm going to give my take, because we're kind of all on the same page. I am looking at underdog ADP currently. Would you rather have Devontae Adams or Devonta Smith?
Oh,
I'm taking Smith.
I'd rather have Adams.
Would you rather have ARSB?
Yeah, I'd rather
Nick Brown, yep.
Jalen
Waddle.
Chris Olave.
Olave.
I'd rather have Adams than Olave.
Okay. T. Higgins.
Adams.
Ooh, I might go Higgins, man.
Okay. DK
For
Metcalf.
the offense.
DK Metcalf.
That's when I'll probably go Adams.
Okay. Every single one of those is going after Devontae Adams. That's the breaking point for as a whole is DK. And DK is at WR15.
Okay, so he's like in the 10 range right now?
He's at 9.
Oh, he's at 9.
Yeah. Dave, I will look when I am done with this, because I am going to get food as soon as I am done with this. Okay, so Gerson says, and this has to do with his Raiders, so I have to throw it up on the board. Jimmy G is going to pull a groin, and he'll be at the Bunny Ranch after the game. Jimmy G is going to be at the Bunny Ranch even if he doesn't pull a groin. What are you talking about? That's what they call him, porn star Jimmy. Okay, so Jamie, let me make sure, because I want to tee this one up for you. Okay, it is. This is the one. I was going to bring one of these guys up, Jamie.
Yeah, I knew you were.
I am so proud of you, because you were thinking like me for once. Take it away on 2 wide receivers in your own division.
All right, so these 2 Steelers receivers I see going very close in drafts. Deontay Johnson and George Pickens. I like them both as talents. But, I mean, I'm taking Deontay over Pickens every time. I've seen drafts where Pickens goes before Deontay, and I think that's crazy. Like last year, Deontay was the 6th most targeted wide receiver. He had 137 targets. Pickens only averaged 4.9 a game and ended with 78 targets. So why would you take Pickens over Deontay? It just doesn't make sense. Pickens doesn't really mesh well with Pickett's style of play. Like, he can't really separate, so he's not getting those short passes. He's more of that downfield receiver, which doesn't mesh well with was it Pickens? I keep getting Pickens and Pickens mixed up.
Yes, you do it all the time.
But anyway,
I do it too.
He the quarterback did not throw the ball down the field. I think he was outside the top 20 in air yards, outside the top 20 in deep ball attempts, and that's where Pickens is going to thrive. So if he could take a step forward, it's going to rely on the quarterback. But in Dynasty right now, I have him back to back in Dynasty, wide receiver 25 and 26. I think, and but redraft all day. Like he's going so late. What is he going, like 6th round, Mike? Or hold on, wide receiver 33, I think.
Something like
And
that.
Pickens is wide receiver 35, so like 74th overall in redrafts. And if he gets 3-4 touchdowns this year, like we think he should, that's going to put him in the top 24. And I think he can break the top 20. But yeah, what do you guys think about that? Who would you draft if you were on the clock? And even in Dynasty, who would you take?
Go ahead, Jordan.
I mean, in Dynasty, I would take Pickens. But in redraft, I would go with Deontay Johnson easily because, like you mentioned about the volume, and I know he doesn't have a lot of big plays, but I mean he racks up the targets and the catches. He has problems with drops, but I mean even with that, he still puts up solid numbers, way better than where his ADP is.
Yeah, and I believe he was top 10 in red zone targets too last year.
He was.
Yeah.
I know you guys really love Deontay. I wasn't a believer until listening to you guys.
All right, so let me jump in on this hype train real quick while I think Jordan's getting something. So Jordan mentions that he dropped some balls, and I'm going to bring up your comment in a minute, Kyle. First, Gerson says, for redraft, I'm out on Pickens. For Dynasty, I'll draft him to trade him to tier up. People always like him. Deontay is so underrated. So here's my thing. Jordan mentioned that he likes to drop balls. I have to confess something, and Jamie already knows. Jamie already knows this. Huh?
Didn't use those words, but hey.
No. He did. He dropped the ball a lot. I called him Deontay Dropson all last season. Every single week on air, I called him Deontay Dropson. I apologize, Mr. Johnson, because I do not think you were. I think it was just a bad year.
Yeah.
Everything around, like Jamie said, no freaking touchdowns. That's not going to happen this year. I wrote about him in my bounce back wide receiver article that I wrote. Learned even more about his stats when I wrote that. I'm telling you right now, people are sleeping on Deontay Johnson. They are completely sleeping on Deontay Johnson. I am taking him over a bunch of guys that are being drafted over in front of him, including George Pickens. I'm drafting him over George Pickens in Dynasty. I want Deontay Johnson. Will I try to, if I drafted him in startup right now, would I use him to flip? Quite possibly. But that doesn't excuse the fact that I want him on my team. So Kyle went on a little bit of a rant, which I love because Kyle spits the facts usually. I want Deontay over Pickens in any format. Then he says, where is it? Okay. Pickett won't throw at a 1.8% TD rate again this year, right? Right? I hope not. I mean, he's got the weapons not to, but 1.8% TD rate. Jesus, that's low. How many career drops does Deontay have? Because I'm pretty sure a lot of them happened that one season after a concussion. Yes,
he has 31 career drops.
Yeah, 31. I think 13 were in a year.
13 were in 2020. Then he had 5, and then he had 7.
Yeah. And then he had 7 last year with Trubisky and Pickett. And then Kyle says, I call him Mr. Three-Quarter because he always leaves the game and comes back in. That is true. I mean,
he's like the Anthony Davis of football.
I mean, it's kind of like Dalvin Cook. Whenever Dalvin Cook fumbles, he gets hurt. It's Gerson like this, but I also like it in SFB. Pickett low end if you can't get your 2 quarterbacks early. I've been trying to get Pickett later. So So, yeah, that's how I feel. Deontay for sure. I do think Deontay Johnson. I picked Deontay Johnson to be a top 20 wide receiver.
He
I think
definitely hit that.
I think he's gonna. I mean, that was in my bounce back article. The premise was who finished outside the top 20 that you could see finishing inside the top 20 this year, and I am picking Deontay Johnson. So to my next topic, there are some other 2-year players that we will be bringing up. There are some second-year guys that we have brought up. I'm going to bring up a few guys that I want to talk about, sophomore guys that need to step it up to get into the fold with their heavy wide receiving cores with a lot of guys, including my team, or someone that needs to step up before they realize that he's not the guy because he's on a sucky team with a possible rookie quarterback. So the 3 guys I'm bringing up, Sky Moore, because I already teased it, so I might as well just bring him up first. Wan'Dale Robinson and Treylon Burks. Okay, there has been a lot of hype out of camp with Treylon. I don't really like to read into camp hype, but when the camp hype was so bad last year, and now you're hearing good, the whole asthma and all the other stuff that was going on, and now you hear the good stuff, I at least like to hear it. Hey, it's not a homer pick. Just wait. You'll know it's not a homer pick in a second, Gerson. I don't want to hear that yet. Okay. So let's just start off with Sky Moore because Gerson ruffled my feathers. Okay. He finished at wide receiver. What number wide receiver do you think he finished at in PPR last year?
97? I don't know.
Keep going.
110.
Keep going.
What?
150.
122, my friends. That's not very good. Will he improve? Absolutely. It's his second year in the league. He's going to improve. The wide receiving core got rid of my favorite. Yeah, Gerson, I didn't know he played for half a year either. You know how I knew? And I'll tell you, there's a reason I knew he played, and it's going to get brought up in a second. We got rid of McCole Hardman, Mr. Gadget. They let JuJu go, which Jordan mentioned earlier. So basically, their wide receivers are Sky Moore, Kadarius Toney, which I'm still a little nervous. Jordan knows that. That's why he's giggling. MVS, Jordan's ex-fling of MVS on the Packers. Rashee Rice. We all know who the real number 1 wide receiver is in Kansas City, so I don't have to bring that up. But do I think they're going to get Sky Moore more involved in this offense? Absolutely. But here's the problem. People think him getting more involved in the Kansas City offense means he's going to be fantasy relevant. Stop thinking that way. Because an improvement for him from 122 to 70 is freaking 50 players. I still don't want you in my starting lineup or close to my starting lineup if you're WR70. You want to know one place he's not going to catch the ball? Across the middle.
Or in the end zone.
Do you know why, Jamie? Why do I say he's not going to? Jamie, do you know why I say he's not going to catch the ball across the middle?
Because it'll get squashed like a bug.
More specifically,
he has
T-Rex arms. He has T-Rex arms. He can't even catch a punt. That's how we lost. We lost to Indianapolis last year because he muffed a punt in the fourth quarter.
You can never trust a wide receiver whose number is 24. They just can't do it.
There's a lot you can't trust with this. I mean, I wasn't crazy about the pick. I was okay with the prospect. I was not great about the pick. So I'm telling you, stay away from Sky Moore, please.
So let me ask you, it wouldn't be far-fetched for Kadarius Toney to be hurt. So if that happens, how do you feel like that affects Sky Moore?
I think he plays the screen role. And the gadget role, that's going to get him a little more than he would if Toney wasn't hurt.
because in the games last year, when before Hardman got hurt, he was scoring some touchdowns. It was like some bull, but he was still,
Oh yeah.
So he might be relevant for like a week or two. But
I am a little afraid about Matt Nagy, a little bit about Matt Nagy being back, but not fully because I know it's going to be Andy Reid.
yeah, I was about to say it doesn't matter.
Yeah. So Wan'Dale Robinson, I'm going to quicken this one up because I want to get into the main one. Wan'Dale Robinson, they drafted what? Jalen Hyatt. They got Jalen Hyatt. They got Hodgins. They got Slayton. They got some wide receiver named Paris Campbell. They got all these wide receivers. They go out and get Darren Waller. I want Wan'Dale Robinson to be something. I really do. I don't know why I'm gravitating like lately to like the small. I think it's because the NFL is gravitating to the smaller receivers. Like Waddle is tiny. Like he's thin frame. And he was my favorite wide receiver coming out that draft. I like Wan'Dale. Mims isn't very big, and Jamie, you know how much I love Mims this offseason. Wan'Dale finished at 115 last year. It was a lot of injury stuff. I expect Wan'Dale to take a step up. I would take him as a late pick in dynasties, startups, hoping that he comes up, or if he has a couple of good games and you're not in contention, you could sell him. But I would stay away from him in redraft. To go back to this, because I just saw it. Does Sky Moore just replace Hardman as the guy who fumbles? God damn it. You guys, this is exactly what I was afraid to see because that's what I think. And Kyle says, watch Sterling Shepard return from another devastating injury to lead the Giants. Well, they just don't have any good receivers, and I think Hyatt's going to do something. But last year's WR and PPR wide receiver 78 was Treylon Burks. Yes, he had a slow start. He didn't have a great year. I'm telling you right now, I am trying to draft this guy everywhere I can if I'm in a startup. Anywhere, everywhere. I am trying to get him even an SFB. I do not want him SFB as my number 1 or number 2 WR, but I am trying to take him for depth. But in dynasty startups, I am willing to take Treylon Burks all day long. I would even consider Treylon Burks over George Pickens, which is a tough debate right now. There's just something with Treylon that I like from the beginning, but I'm not sure what is up with the team because we don't know if Tannehill, is Tannehill the quarterback in week 5? We don't even know. I mean, it could already be Levis. I know I've been ranting and raving for a while, so Jordan, start talking.
Yeah, I'm with you. We kind of we talked through the whole Sky Moore thing, but Treylon Burks is not somebody that I'm targeting or anything because I don't really like the Titans offense at all. I never really have like pass catchers even since AJ Brown's been gone. But if Will Levis is starting, I don't know if it matters. Like he's been explosive. I think for him is staying healthy as well. Him and Chiga Okonkwo are like the 2 main weapons in the passing game. So when you can't run Derrick Henry 50 times a game, so they're gonna have to drop back to throw. And when they do, they're gonna find ways to get it in his hands. So he can provide some value, more value than the other 2 guys that you mentioned for sure. Wan'Dale still recovering from the ACL injury. Don't know if he'll even be back in time to start the season. And like they mentioned, there's like 7 Wan'Dale Robinsons on the roster. All of the guys doing the same
They're all the
thing.
same dude.
Yeah, so that'll be hard to kind of siphon through it. And it's not like Daniel Jones is Patrick Mahomes to where he's just spreading the love out to everybody anyway. So, and then you still got Saquon, who's going to get some work in the passing game with Darren Waller. So it's going. I don't really want to mess with Wan'Dale like talking about. In Dynasty, I would, but not in redraft at all. But yeah, just Treylon Burks has he's the most intriguing out of those 3 guys, has the most upside, has the easier path to being very productive. So I would definitely take a chance on him. I mean, he's like he isn't expensive right now, or I don't think he will be expensive at all when it comes to draft season. So why not take a chance on a number one option that late in the draft?
Jamie, do you have any thoughts that we haven't already brought up?
I mean, I'm out on Wandale Robinson. There's only one true Ant-Man, and that's Rondale Moore. My nickname for Wandale is the Wasp because you just swat him away. I don't want anything to do with him. Sky Moore, man, never drafted him once, never will. I love the hype he got in his rookie year because that allowed me to get like George Pickens at the end of the draft because people were drafting Sky Moore like way too early. But I do love Treylon Burks, man. So what I do is when I look for value, I kind of talked about it earlier with JuJu. You know, you look for the number one receiving option on the team. Where are they going? And he's going around 6 or 7, I think.
Yeah, 7.
Yeah, he's going way too late. So I'll take the number one receiving option, even if it is a low volume offense in the passing game. Like I'll still take that all day. That late, like I'm not going to reach for him, but if he falls to me, I'll definitely take that value.
Yeah, for sure.
According to Fantasy Pros ADP right now, he's 36, and Kadarius Toney is 37. Who would you guys rather have?
Wait, who was it?
In redraft, would you rather have Burks at 36 WR or would you rather have Toney at 37?
Burks.
Burks.
Yeah.
All right, so before we move on to Jordan's last topic before Cheat of the Week, Jamie, you know what time it is. Today's show is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Woof, woof. Check out their industry-leading best ball leagues with huge tournaments, private leagues, pick'ems for every major sport. Sign up with our promo code GF2 and get a deposit match of up to $100. Yes, a full deposit match up to $100. It's as simple as that. Sign up, use the promo code GF2, and you can start drafting your best ball teams now. I got one more thing that's not on the read that I want to bring up about the Underdog Fantasy. And I want my face and all of our faces to be seen. Everyone go out. If you have not got into Scott Fishbowl or not going to get into Scott Fishbowl, not signed up, or you just like best ball, they are doing a $5 entry fee Scott Fish satellite on Underdog, 150 team max, $5 a piece. 100% of it goes to Fantasy Cares. Underdog is not taking a rake on this one. So $5. So get your deposit match, then go spend some of that, 5, 10, 15, whatever. It's a donation. You draft a team. The top 250 teams in the satellite get an automatic bid into Scott Fishbowl 14 for next season. So that's an easy way to donate some money to a good cause, Fantasy Cares, same organization that is sponsored by Scott Fishbowl and everything, and you also get to play Underdog Fantasy. So, Jordan, there's always wide receiver rooms that you want to target, but sometimes there's wide receiver rooms that you want to stay away from. Let's go.
And it's only to a certain degree. You can only stay away for so long. You guys had mentioned Adam Thielen earlier in the show, at how late he was going, and at that point, it's good value for a guy that has touchdown potential. I'm not looking to get him, but I understand it. So two teams, they have something in common that I kind of want to stay away from. Is they have a bunch of guys in their receiving cores that are decent guys, but not really any super studs that stand out, and they're both quarterbacked by rookies. And I'm talking about Houston and Carolina. I have really no idea who I want out of those, particularly in redraft. Obviously, for dynasty purposes, you have Mingo, you have Mechie, and Xavier Hutchinson on Houston, guys who you can take and hope for in dynasty. But for redraft, they have Robert Woods, they have the two guys I mentioned, Mechie and Hutchinson. Then you don't know who the quarterback is favoring at this point. You have to watch preseason to figure that out. And even then, things can change, injuries happen. The Panthers still have Terrace Marshall. They got Thielen. They got DJ Chark. They have a bunch of weapons as well. It's a bunch of guys who are good, but nobody who is standing out or is going to stand out at that point. The good thing is the value in all these guys are way deep in the draft. You can take a flyer on one of them late. You don't really have to reach for any of them. But I'm not sure that I want to hitch my wagon to anybody in this passing game. It'll be good to take a late flyer on those guys, but you can figure out almost every other team in the league. There's a guy like we just talked about Tennessee and their horrible passing game, but people are excited about Treylon Burks to a certain degree. I'm not necessarily excited about too many people on either one of these two teams in redraft.
Yeah, I agree on that, man. Like, I'm not targeting anybody in those offenses, but if they fall super late, you just got to pick one. I think Mike, you just got Mechie in the mock draft, right? Yeah. The pick after that, I was up on the clock, and I was thinking about just taking Nico Collins just as a joke.
I forgot about Nico Collins as well.
But yeah, I'll wait next round or two. If Nico falls, I don't mind taking him because if he doesn't work out, just drop him. You got him so late, it doesn't even matter. But yeah, but in Dynasty, I'm taking a shot on. I'll take a shot on Mingo if I get him at a good price. But I'm not drafting him in the first rounds of rookie drafts, though, and that's where he's pretty much going. But yeah, besides that, Chark's one that I'll take a shot on real late. But like I said, I wouldn't mind just dropping him if he doesn't do anything.
Yeah, and I agree. Like you said, Jordan, I am not taking anyone from that Carolina room early whatsoever. I mean, there's really I'm not really taking anyone from that team early. I mean, to be honest, and same with Houston. I mean, the only time I'm taking someone early on the Houston side is if it's, like in a dynasty startup and I need Stroud or a rookie draft or whatever. But I'm not taking anyone early. You guys both know I like the rookie Xavier Hutchinson, but that is definitely not a redraft play at all. That's a deep target in rookie drafts and startups. I got him in the fourth round in a rookie draft, and I was happy about that. I've had Mechie on my team since last year in a couple. Jamie mentioned that I drafted him in the mock that we're in. It was kind of the dead zone, and I wanted a little more depth, but I was also going for young upside. That's why I would take a guy like Mechie or Tank Dell. Robert Woods might be something for a little bit, but like we know, Robert Woods will probably fizzle out by the time the season's over. So Robert Woods might be a best ball candidate, Jamie. I don't know what you think. But overall, I don't think that I would do much there. Kyle says, well, I currently roster like 11 wide receivers. Basically, that league forces you to have depth. But I hope to have never start more. Gerson says Jonathan Mingo and Dalton Schultz. Yeah, I mean, Dalton Schultz, that's a whole nother ballgame at tight end. We'll see how that plays out. So, Jamie, what is your next topic, senor?
Hold on, let me make my pick. I have 5 minutes left on the clock real quick.
Oh.
I just picked the first guy I saw. I liked Rashad White. All right, so speaking of that, so let's say you're on the clock in the league in like the 10th round or so, and you need a receiver, and there's two guys that are staring you in the face, and you can't decide which one you want to go with. I mean, you can either flip a coin or kind of look a little bit deeper into the stats. So what I did is the first guy was Cortland Sutton's, but I haven't been drafting Sutton at all. I haven't targeted him. It's just I needed a receiver, and he was there. He's always underperformed his ADP his whole career. I think he finished as wide receiver 27 with points per game in 2019. But even then, he was being drafted ahead of that. In the past, people overdraft him way too high in hopes he'll break out. He just never did. And then I saw him. I think he went wide receiver 47, which is like in my best ball, which is right around where he finishes every year. So I thought about it. I'm like, well, if I'm drafting him at his floor, they couldn't hurt. And then there is upside in that new offense, and there's a chance he finishes higher than wide receiver 47 this year. Definitely could be worth that pick. But the other guy I was debating on is Rashad Bateman. Like, he's going around that same area in the drafts as Sutton. So he only played 6 games last year because he got injured, and he is talented. And everyone's overlooking him this year. Like last season, he actually won over 51% of his routes, which improved over 10% from his rookie season. And then he also seen an increased role in his sophomore year. His ADOT went from 8 yards all the way up to like 15 and a half last season. And now he has a new pass first Todd Monken's offense. They're going to be passing more. Lamar came out and said Bateman is the wide receiver number 1 for sure. I don't know if you guys saw that.
Yeah, I saw that.
But then with the addition of OBJ and Flowers, I don't think it's going to take away from his success. It'll actually, I think, help him a little bit more because the defenses aren't going to be double covering Bateman. So he's not going to face the number 1 corners either. So I think that could help him. So I had this decision the other day, and I was in the 14th round, but it was a Superflex IDP best ball draft. And but before I tell you who I went with, I want to see what you guys think about these 2 guys and who you would pick.
So the draft you were talking about was for best ball, right?
Yeah, it's a best ball. It was in the 14th round, IDP Superflex.
All right, so I definitely for best ball, I'll definitely go with Bateman. Obviously, more upside. But I will say I am intrigued by Sutton this year. I'm intrigued by both of these guys, especially how late they're both going. I was just looking at the Fantasy Pros ADP for both of them. It's real late. Sutton, I mean, there was a lot of hype on him last year, but now I feel like he's like a guy who's undervalued because he was so hyped up and kind of disappointed. I think, I expect Denver's offense to be much better. I expect Russell Wilson to be better. And with that, Judy may be the number 1 now. However, that doesn't mean that Cortland Sutton still can't put up good wide receiver 2 high and wide receiver 3 numbers. So I like him where he is. I think if it was redrafted, it depends on your deal, depending on if you took a lot of upside early, then you want a steadier guy with Sutton and so on and so forth. But for best ball purposes, definitely Bateman. If I was in in a redraft league, I'd probably go with Sutton because I think he can be more consistent than Bateman, less of an injury risk as well. They both have competition for targets, but yeah, I like both of those guys and the values where they are right now.
All right. Best ball, 1-word answer, Bateman, period.
Yeah.
I mean, just because of the upside and it could be big weeks. Yeah, and that's the thing. That's best ball. Redraft, it gets closer. I disagree with Jordan on this one for redraft. I still say Bateman, but it's dang close. Like it's not a smash. It's not a look at a draft and see that your 2-hour clock is 1 minute and 59 and 35 seconds, and I hit Bateman. I'm thinking for about 10 minutes until the first guy that has no patience in the league DMs me and says, "Why aren't you drafting?" Because we all know there's at least one of those in every freaking slow draft.
Yes.
But Dynasty is interesting, and I looked at an ADP that I have, and it had Bateman at 42, and it had Sutton at 53. Okay. I don't know I don't know where Sutton's going to be next year. This all depends with the new coaching staff. Okay. Jerry Jeudy. Didn't they pick up his 5th-year option? Okay. Cortland Sutton. I know he's been injured, but you still got Tim Patrick. They go out and just drafted Marvin Mims. So you know that new coaching staff likes Marvin Mims because they're the ones that decided to put him in there. They have rumored to be shopping either Jeudy or Sutton for about 6 months, it seems like. I am taking Bateman all the way across the board in all 3 formats. But you do have to have the expectation that Bateman can't carry your team. And that's the problem with getting Bateman. You have to know that he could be a number one wide receiver because we know Andrews is there. But he could be a number one. And I know, Jamie, you mentioned he's not going to get double teamed. And I completely agree. You just have to accept the fact that just like the Chiefs and just like certain teams in the league, the number one on a team is probably not going to be a number one on your fantasy team. You just have to accept that when you make your build.
Yeah, so I ended up hitting the button on Sutton, and I instantly regretted it.
And then we just smashed you.
But then with the 15th pick, Bateman was there, so I got Bateman.
Oh, you lucky bastard.
I got them both.
That's why you brought it up. Because
Yes.
if you didn't get both, you wouldn't have brought it up, and I know you.
It worked out.
Yep.
All right, so for my next topic, before we get to the cheat of the week, and we're already running over an hour, so I'm going to make this a little bit quick.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk about a wide receiver that was top-notch. Then he's had quarterback issues. Then he's had a little bit of health issues. But then the biggest issue is his team traded for one of the best athletes, running backs of our modern era. And I'm talking about Deebo Samuel. The reason I want to bring about Deebo Samuel is I got him on a fantasy team, guys, and I'm trying to get rid of him. And I can't.
Yes, I got rid of him.
What did you get rid of him for? Just
Kendrick
roughly.
Miller and something else, I think.
Like,
and
I can't get rid of him. I can't get rid of him for a freaking can of tuna right now. Like, so here's the thing. I want to bring that up that I can't sell him, and I want to sell him. Partly because I have CMC on that team, so when CMC got traded to that team or to the Niners, it kind of muddled my team having both of them. But at value in redraft, surprisingly, and at Dynasty, are you taking Deebo Samuel or are you taking Brandon Ayuk?
I'm going.
I know the answer on my end.
Yeah, I'll take Ayuk 20 picks later. Like, there's other receivers in that Deebo area that I would rather have. Like, DJ Moore's probably going around that area, I would assume.
Jordan?
Yeah, I'd rather have. Well, I want to say that easily, but Deebo, man, he does a lot.
What if I told you in a Dynasty ADP that I just saw, wide receiver wise, they're one WR apart. They're back to back.
Oh,
that's what I'm saying. Is that the hype train for Ayuk, or is that everyone overreacting to Deebo? That's why
probably
I'm
a little bit of both. I think it's a little bit of both.
A little bit of both for sure. People are disappointed with Deebo, and then if his rushing ability is hampered now that CMC is there and Elijah Mitchell will be healthy. If he's not running the ball as much, then he doesn't have nearly the same value that he had before.
Exactly. So to wrap up this part of the show, I just want to say, be careful on Deebo. At value, get him if his ADP drops or if drops past his ADP. I am not taking him where he's at, value-wise in Dynasty or in redraft right now. I would, just like Jamie said, in redraft or best ball 2, if I could drop a little bit lower, another round or two, and get Brandon Ayuk, I think he's going around like 7 or 8 in SFB. I think I got him like around pick 80 overall. I would take that all day, every day. I would love Brandon Ayuk in SFB this year. I think he's going to get a lot of first downs. But so that's the main chunk of our show. Now it's time to the last major topic. Each of us is going to have one more. It's called our cheat of the week. So we kind of decided to go all in the same theme. We're all talking about a certain team. I'll just say it. These two boys decided to talk about their team, and I said, I don't want to talk about my team. I want to talk about another team. So, Jordan, what's going on? What's going on up there in Green Bay?
Well, it's easier for you to go to Super Bowl champions, but me and Jamie have to kind of complain a little bit about our team. Okay. So, the Green Bay, I say our like I'm part of the team. But the Green
No,
Bay.
you can say that because I do it.
Green Bay's wide receivers going into this year. Obviously, Christian Watson is coming off of a big year, big game, a couple big games that kind of made it look like he had a huge year. But there's been a lot of buzz in camp so far that Romeo Doubs is seeming like Jordan Love's go-to guy. That was a report from ESPN's Packers reporter. Uh, that Romeo Doubs has been the guy that Jordan Love has been looking to. Doubs mentioned that they have been working together in the offseason, so they built that chemistry. And looking back at the numbers last year, obviously Jordan Love wasn't the quarterback. Rodgers was there, but Doubs had a really good preseason. He had a couple of 8-target games to start off the year, while Christian Watson was kind of getting his leg. I mean, that first drop on the first play of the season kind of set him back, and then Dobbs kind of took the step forward. He was kind of the guy, and then Rodgers developed trust in Watson again, and then his confidence got up, and then he started to make the big plays. But going into this season, I mean, it's a Grand Canyon sized gap in ADP between those two guys. That Dobbs may seem like a better value if everything continues to go the way it's going so far. Dobbs is at, I think, wide receiver 57 right now. Watson is in the top 25, I believe, according to ADP. So those two guys I anticipate being the top two weapons. Haven't heard much about the rookie Jaden Reed so far. I've heard good things about Samari Toure and Dontavian Wicks and guys like that, but not much from Reed. Not gonna panic on that. Obviously, it's still early in the off season and stuff like that. So I think it's Watson and Dobbs, no doubt, and then the other guys will kind of find their way as the season goes on. We're going to be in an offense that I don't anticipate throwing the same amount as we did with Rodgers, so it'll be hard. I think each young guy will have their weeks where they kind of shine. They'll both be in their second years. Obviously, I anticipate both of them making a jump. Right now, I'm not really dying to have Christian Watson in redraft. I mean, I'll take him if he's there, but I'm not like searching him out. With the way things are going, and I know it's too early to kind of fall victim to the gossip about who's the go-to guy. But Jordan Love is a different guy, so whatever Christian Watson did with Aaron Rodgers doesn't mean that's going to be the same thing with Jordan Love. So this could be a totally different ball game. Hierarchy could be reestablished with Dobbs at the top of it. Not anticipating that because obviously Christian Watson showed what he can do. But as of now, I mean, I'm playing it by ear, but I'm not completely eliminating the fact that Romeo Doubs could be a steal where he is, and he could be the most valuable from where he's getting drafted standpoint, most valuable package receiver this season.
Go ahead, Jamie.
Yeah, so Christian Watson, I was the biggest Christian Watson hater, but actually starting to grow on me a little bit now. Last week, I drafted him for the first time ever in a best ball league.
Felt good.
Yeah, I was like, I'm pretty happy with that. Like where I got him, I like it. I looked into it, and he was actually wide receiver 9 from when he came back all the way to the end of the season. So, I mean, if he can continue doing that, I know he's got a new quarterback and all, but it's going to be up to Jordan Love. Let's see if he can still do it. Dobbs, I'm out. I don't like the guy. I think his name's stupid. That's not the reason. But Jaden Reed is one of my favorite targets. Best ball dynasty. Like, give me Jaden Reed all day long. I mean, there's just other guys that Dobbs going around that I'd rather have. But Jaden Reed, man, he's going so late. And I think he's way more talented than Dobbs. And you earn targets, and talent earns targets. So I actually think he's going to be out targeting Dobbs. And if you're getting him that late in the drafts, I'll steal that all day.
Yeah.
All right. So Gerson brought it up. I'm not even going to read it. You guys can read it. I'm going to say something about his comment. Jordan already knows where I'm going with this. I was not the biggest Christian Watson fan. You want to know why, Jamie? Do you know why I wasn't the biggest Christian Watson fan, Jamie?
Why is that?
Because the amount of Christian Watson propaganda that I had to hear pre-show, during show, post-show.
Oh, trust me, I heard it too on the Sunday morning start sits.
Oh, it was painful. Yeah, but guess what? You didn't do a show with 2 Packers fans. I did. Okay. So, no, you don't have any room to complain. Okay. I know you do, but I'm just saying I had to deal with him and Jordan. And Jordan just fed into it because he knew it bugged me. Okay. I do think Christian Watson is going to have a place in redraft.
Yeah.
He already has a place in Dynasty. Jamie, I haven't said this tonight very often. I don't think I've said it yet. You're wrong.
I'm wrong.
I think Romeo Doubs is going to be somebody because of. I think Jordan Love is going to make him somebody in the sense of volume. I'm not saying, I'm not saying he's going to go and score 10 touchdowns, 12. I'm not saying that. But is he going to be that guy that when it's 3rd and 4 and Jordan Love needs a quick out, it's going to be Jordan. It's going to be Doubs. It's not going to be Watson. Absolutely. 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 Absolutely.
I might pick Romeo Doubs over Sky Moore, actually.
Okay, I can remove you from the screen. No, but to get back to it, I do think Doubs is going to be something. I do like Jaden Reed. However, I think he's a year away, Jamie. I think he's going to make a couple splash plays, but I'd rather draft other players than trust him to do anything. I don't even know if I would target him in best ball, but I am targeting him in Dynasty. Now, Jamie, one of the biggest movers, shakers in the wide receiver room from the draft to a trade to rumors about DeAndre Hopkins is that team in Cleveland. So what do you want to talk about your Brownies?
I don't think Hopkins is going to Cleveland.
No, I don't either, but there's rumors.
But yeah, I just want to bring up like Amari Cooper's going way too late than what he should be going in drafts. Like he was targeted a whole bunch last year. Now you got Watson like in his like a full year. Is knocking the rust off. And I'm pretty sure Cooper was number 8. He was either 8 or 10. He was definitely top 10 receiver last year. But right now he's being drafted outside of the top 20 receivers. And I'll take that all day. Like he'll be an amazing 3rd receiver on your team, but I'd be happy with him just as my number 2 receiver, depending on who else I have. But another guy going way too late, I think, is someone I'd rather have over Dobbs, and he's going around the same area. And that's one of my favorite targets of the draft, and it's going around like about 100 players off the board, and that's Elijah Moore. He's such a great value right now. Last year, Elijah Moore was open on 91% of his routes, but he just wasn't getting the looks because he basically was a decoy for Garrett Wilson last year. And I know in his rookie season, like he had multiple top 10 games, like showing that talent. He's definitely one of my favorite later round targets, and I'm pretty sure he's going to outproduce that ADP. But after that, I'm not really drafting anyone in redraft. Like you got DPJ. I know he showed flashes last year, but they did draft Tillman this year to replace him, I think, because DPJ is on his contract year. After that, I mean, who else is there? David Bell, Schwartz. They're not even being worth drafting. Don't even look at them. Like even in Dynasty, like I ended up dropping all my David Bell shares just to make room for Tillman.
That's exactly what I was going to ask you at my take. Are you Is David Bell droppable in a deep Dynasty?
Yes. Yep. I dropped him, and I think every single one of my leagues. I don't think I have him 1 share anymore.
I was going to ask you that because I have him in a league that I could use the spot.
Yeah. David Bell's not going to be anything. Like, who knows, man? Like, when he came out, I thought he was going to be the Landry replacement. He did have a few good plays here and there, but just nothing to clog up a bench about.
Yeah, exactly. Jordan, what do you think?
I love the Amari Cooper call. I've been looking at him in drafts as a guy that I don't mind having where he's going, man. Like, and even a little earlier than that, like people are sleeping on it. I know he isn't like, the sexy guy or whatever, but having Deshaun Watson there and the workload available for him, I like that. Definitely like Elijah Moore as well. Would definitely take him way before Dobbs. That's no conversation with that. So yeah, I like those two guys. To I don't mind having those guys. I draft them a lot in the mocks that I do.
Yeah, so my take on this is I'm not Jamie, I'm not the biggest Amari Cooper fan.
Yeah. Yep.
But if I was to say that he is a horrible wide receiver, would be just blasphemous of me and would just be me being just total bias. Yeah, and total hater and total bias. Where he is falling to, I agree with you where I would not draft him as high as some people would. But if I can let him fall to me, I would absolutely take him. However, Jamie, earlier I said I haven't said something to you almost all night, and that was that you were wrong. Well, I'm about to say something that I hardly tell you. You're right. And that is Elijah freaking Moore this year. I don't know what the future holds for him, but there's just something telling me that he is out to get his bread. He is out to, show that he is still a worthy wide receiver coming out of Ole Miss. Had a bad rap in New York. Was some of it his fault? Abso-freaking-lutely. Him getting traded for what was it, like a third round pick or
Second. It was a second round pick.
Second.
Yep.
Going to Cleveland. Now you got Watson with him and with Cooper. Like you said, me and you were both DPJ fans. For some reason, I can't quit the wide receivers that come out of freaking Michigan. I don't know what it is. I just can't do it. I like them every single freaking time. But them getting Tillman scares me a little bit because I actually like Tillman better than coming out of the draft or coming into the draft. I like Tillman more than I liked Hyatt.
Same.
And so that does scare me a little bit. But this, like you mentioned over and over to me off camera, this passing offense is going to be more of a passing attack than a running attack this year because they need to prove that giving all that money to Watson was worth it. So I think that is the clincher for that one. What else? Sum it up real quick, Jamie.
You can still hold on to DPJ and Dynasty because he will get a shot somewhere next year also. And he's not going away this year either. He's just not going to be the number 2 target. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, exactly what I was thinking. I just want to make sure on something first. Okay, so yes, I said I am not talking about the Chiefs. Okay. But I am not fully getting away from the Chiefs tree, actually. And I didn't even think of that until about 5 minutes ago. Eric Bieniemy is now the new offensive coordinator for the Washington Commanders, who will be quarterbacked by no other than Sam freaking Howell. So.
You mean Jacoby Brissett?
Hey, no. This is my topic.
Where's Gator when we need him?
No, this is my topic.
I was gonna bring him up when it was my turn. I wasn't gonna let a show go by where he was.
Oh, he just brought up every. It's a cheat sheet thing. Everyone makes fun of Jamie for it. It's great. Jamie, you've been on shows where I get made fun of my love for freaking Sam Darnold from 2 years ago, so you know how it is. Okay, so let's get down to it. Wide receivers in this offense, there are really 2 that you want to have. I mean, it's not 3 and 4 like Jamie's team where you could have 3 or Jordan's team where there's at least 3 or 4 to talk about. It's pretty much Terry McLaurin and Jahan Dotson, who's coming into his sophomore year. Here's my problem. Jahan Dotson is going to – I don't know if he's going to overtake Terry McLaurin as the number one wide receiver. But at value, especially in redraft, I don't know where he's been going in underdog, Jamie. But at value, I would rather have Jahan Dotson over McLaurin all day long. I've been seeing him going 4, 5, 6 rounds later, 6, 7 rounds later in Scott Fishbowl mocks. I've seen him going 3, 4 rounds later in Dynasty. At the value, I would rather have Dotson as their number 2 because I think with another addition, they could easily turn into a powerhouse. Some people say that there is concern about EB spreading the ball around like Andy Reid. I don't think that's going to be the case. I don't think it's going to be so spread thin that you're not going to be able to support 2 wide receivers fantasy value-wise. He had 7 touchdowns last year. He missed a few games. So to me, Jahan Dotson is my favorite wide receiver on this team at value. My favorite wide receiver on this team in general is Scary Terry. And I'm telling you, this is the reason. I think he's underrated. I think he's underdrafted. But I also think that he is going to get the biggest help. I think he suits Sam Howell. Sam Howell suits his game well. And I think he's going to be able to make those big splash plays for the Washington offense. Jordan, take it away.
Definitely Dotson at value, but I think McLaurin on its face, he's one of those guys who can produce no matter who the quarterback is. I'm not sure if Sam Howell is a complete upgrade over Taylor Heineke, but I don't even know if it matters for McLaurin because he finds a way to be productive.
Exactly. Jamie?
Yeah, I think Jacoby Brissett could definitely But I love Dotson, man. At his value, I'm drafting him in startups all over the place, and he's definitely going way too late in startups. For Dynasty, I would rather have Dotson over McLaurin, but at redraft, I'll take McLaurin over Dotson. But I love the value of Dotson where he's going, so I got way more Dotson than I have McLaurin.
Yeah, and I agree completely with you. All right. Everyone, it has been a great show. It is an hour and 30 minutes into it. We are running a little bit late. We have some East Coasters. We have me from the West Coast. And I'll be honest, I'm hungry. So let's do quick sign outs and then we'll wrap it up. Jamie, take it away.
I'm on Twitter, Jamie Perogue. Also, you find me on the Facebook at the Fantasy Football discussion groups. And then right here, going for 2.
Jordan.
JArsenal89 on Twitter. Catch me here on Tuesday night.
Yep, you can know where to find me on the little blue Twitter machine. You can find me at Drop the Mic FF. Other than that, you can find some of my writing over at Dynasty Nerds. I need to figure out what I'm writing next. Other than that, I'm also on Friday nights over at the Rum Boys Fantasy Network, causing some havoc. But for Jamie, for Jordan, I am Mike. Have a nice night, everyone, and peace out.
Peace.